I know it's been a few weeks since the last episode of the podcast has dropped. Forgive me for that. Construction has winded down and we are moved into our new house. So it has just been absolutely chaotic, but we're back. And this is episode 101 of the BASCHAMANIA podcast. And today, Jason Nolf once again joins the show just ahead of his match with Dake next week to talk about life, golf, Traegers, everything. As he hopped into the Zoom, we started talking about updates on the construction and the chaos, and I decided, you know what? Let's just let it roll. So there's no formal introduction. You don't miss much where the audio picks up, just pretty much talking about a countertop story. Hope you guys enjoy this episode of the podcast. If you do enjoy it, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Yes, Felters, that means you. I haven't seen one yet from Felters, so I'm looking, I am checking. And guys, be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify. This podcast is on ROKFIN in video format. It's a premium feature, but it is available there. So be sure to subscribe to the podcast. And yeah, let's go.
It's BASCHAMANIA! Let me tell you something, brother. He gave us everything he had in him tonight. What you gonna do when BASCHAMANIA runs wild on you? Oh, it's gonna be a good one. And business just picked up here on the podcast. Oh, yeah.
So we actually only got half our countertops in, and now the other half are finally coming today because it's a quartz. So we ended up putting laminate countertops in on 2 pieces just to get the C of O to get everything going. So it's been wild, but we moved all weekend. We're unpacked now. Now it's just like, you know, I got my BASCHAMANIA sign over here. That's got to get hung up. All of our like wedding photos, like there's nothing on the walls yet.
Yeah.
But phase 1 is done.
When me and Maddie first moved into our house in 2018, we live in a different house now, but for 2 years we lived in that house, and I don't think the only thing on the walls were TVs. We didn't have any decorations up. And I was like, Maddie, when are we gonna decorate the house? We ended up never decorating it, but now that in our new house we decorate a little bit.
What made you move not so soon? I mean, 2 years, I feel like it's kind of a quick time, but what made you move so soon?
Just like I really like the house. I was just kind of looking for a house. I want to buy multiple houses in the State College area just for investment purposes. I'd like to get into real estate, stuff like that. And then there's obviously a lot of people that I can rent out to, on the team or on different teams, or even just Penn State students or families. I prefer to rent to families, but
yeah, State College real estate. One of my clients at my marketing company is actually a mortgage broker, and they just got their Pennsylvania license. They want to open an office in State College because there's so much going on there. But I do the same thing. Like the last 6 months and 3 days ago, 6 months from 3 days from now is when we started construction, and I still look at Zillow like every single day.
Yeah,
I just love looking at it. It's like I don't know what it is. I rather scroll through Zillow than Instagram or Twitter or anything else. It's nuts.
It's cool to look at like different designs. Like I'm on TikTok, and basically like your For You page, it's like an algorithm based off the stuff that you like, and but all of my For You page is like home improvement or dog stuff.
That's how my Instagram discovery page is. It's a lot of real estate. It's a lot of, because I look at so much. Like it's so cool to be able to look at something you want to do and just see it in real time. Like we did a stone fireplace, and if you want to just Instagram stone fireplace, you can see everything. So I look at that so much. I feel like most guys our age, if you go to the For You page, the discovery page, it's probably like a lot of women. Like, you're in a good place when it's nothing but home improvement projects.
Yeah.
And I saw too that you guys just renovated like a room or something. That was cool. Like you hired a designer for that room to conceptualize it. I like that.
Yeah. Let me see if I can. That's that room right there.
It looks so good. We wanted a couch just like that for my office because we got the dark walls. I love that.
Really comfortable. I got it on an article. But yeah, we've worked with their name Josh and Lizzie Para, and because I never really knew how to design anything in a house. I don't really have a creative. I have like in sports, I'm creative, but like in art, I'm not as creative. So we had those guys help us out, and they did a great job. I actually have somebody working on my garage right now, finishing drywall.
How much of the work do you do yourself? Because we were on the phone a couple of weeks ago about different work you've been doing. And I know sometimes Maddie will randomly show on Instagram where you're doing something. How much do you like to do yourself? Like, do you like to be really hands-on?
I would like to be if I knew what I was doing.
Same.
Like me and Maddie, we can paint. We can put up like stuff on the wall, like we can hang shelves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to build like a workbench in my garage with my dad.
Yeah.
I put up insulation myself in the garage. I can do like stuff like that, but
drywall's a no-no.
Yeah. Well, me and my dad bought the drywall and we were going to do it, but he's pretty good with like electrical stuff. So he wired some recessed lighting in there. And by the time that he was done with that, the weekend was over. So I ended up just having somebody do the drywall for me because I'm not going to have time.
It's so good to know that stuff. Like even our house that we sold, the new owner said, if you want to take your Ring doorbell, you can. I have one. He's like, just let me know when you take it off so the wires don't stay exposed. So I'm like, well, we already bought a Ring doorbell for the new house, but we have a full walkout in our basement. So I'm like, I'd put the Ring down there just so that we have it as a camera. But I don't know how to take off a doorbell or like some of it. We have a lot of canned lights in this house. And some of them I'm seeing now, I kind of wish we did a dimmer. Like half of them are on dimmers, half aren't. Like even in the closet, my wife wakes up after I do. So I wake up. I don't want to turn the thing on full force. I just want to turn on just a little bit. But it's funny how much those little things, if you know, it's such a convenience to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Dimmers are like, the people that we have contractors working on our house pretty often, they're slowing down now because we pretty much got everything done. But they're like, do you want a dimmer in the dining room? I'm like, yeah, sure. And they did it in like 10 minutes. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's not complicated if you know what you're doing. And apparently it's not hard to switch out. But yeah, home improvement's fun. If I didn't have this podcast, like this podcast is kind of work, kind of a hobby, but I would love to start like an Instagram all just around the property. I love like when I see people, like we were talking about that too, where it's like, I don't want to show everything. Some stuff is private and I don't ever want to feel like I'm boasting. Like those around me know how hard I've worked the last 12 years and they appreciate everything. But I think sometimes you lose context, but I would love to just have an Instagram and just like, there's so much content and so many people love consuming it. Like if you had an Instagram account just for home improvement, the thing would blow up. Like, so that's what I would love to do, but there's so much fun stuff to do. Speaking of fun stuff to do, so next week you're wrestling Dake. Yep. You haven't wrestled in like 4 months. I know you've wanted this match. How excited are you for it?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I mean, there were a few guys I wanted to wrestle, and he was one of them. So I'm pumped that he took the match, and I think there's gonna be a lot of good matches on the card too. This might be the best card of all time.
It is. I just put out a graphic with all the matches so people can see. I mean, and Snyder's wrestling 3 people. Yanni's on the card. Bo's wrestling. Chenzo's wrestling. You guys are both wrestling Dake. It's going to be, I think, the best RTC event yet. What's your expectation when you wrestle a guy like Dake? You know that you're one of the best in the world, and yet still you have guys like Dake and Burroughs in your weight class. What's your expectation for yourself when you wrestle someone like that?
My expectation is the same every time I wrestle, is to get to my stuff and to score a lot of points. Every match I go into, I'm looking to get a tech fall or a pin. That's no different. I know that I know that it's going to be a challenge, but that doesn't mean that I don't still believe in myself. So I'm really excited. I've been working on a few things past few weeks, and I'm looking forward to it.
And the reason I ask what your expectation is, because I feel like as fans, so often we set an expectation like, okay, this guy's better or this guy's better. And we as fans you either pick who you think's going to win, or you kind of start predicting what you think is going to happen. What it sounds like you're saying is you're expecting to get a pin every time, regardless of the outcome. Do you ever get harder on yourself or give yourself, like, maybe, I don't want to say you don't train as hard, but it's like you cut yourself some slack if somebody's not very good or if somebody's really good? Or is the training level pretty much the same no matter who it is?
I think the better the competition, the more I get up for the match. It doesn't mean that I don't, do my best if I'm not wrestling somebody as high level, but there's something that just happens to your body whenever you're preparing for a big match like that, where you kind of just like, you get like spirited in your body, and you can like, it's like more of a focused nerves. Like,
makes sense.
I get nervous. But I think that just means I'm focused. Like I was laying in bed thinking about it last night, and I don't lose sleep over it, but I like to think about it. But
what are you thinking about? Like how the match is going to go, how your training is going? Like, what are you thinking about?
Yeah, I visualize and kind of like run through some things in my head, but for the most part, I just like am excited about the matchup itself, because I really want to wrestle the best guys in the world. And this is why I do what I do. And I mean, it's really exciting. And, but yeah, I get like that. I get a little bit of that nervous feeling in my stomach, but like, I was thinking about it last night. It's like, it's a focused type of nerve.
Yeah. And I mean, there's only like 9 or 10 guys right now qualified for the Olympic trials at 74 kilos. So this could very well be a quarterfinal match, a semifinal match. Did you, going into this, I know some guys wanted to get 2-3 matches. Gabe Dean's wrestling 2, Snyder's wrestling 3, Dake's wrestling a couple. Did you want to try to get a couple matches? Like, what's your plan where the Olympic trials right around the corner? It's been a while since you've competed in that tournament setting. I think Pan Am's last year was probably the last time you were in a tournament. Where are you thought-wise on getting multiple matches in a day like the trials are going to be?
Yeah, I think that I'll have 2 or 3 matches that day. I think I'm going to wrestle. I don't think it's set in stone, but I think Cornell's bringing a guy, another guy at 74 kilos that I'll wrestle.
Got it.
And then probably after the event's over, me and Chenzo might wrestle a match.
On the stream?
Nah, I won't be on the stream.
Oh, come on. Can you at least like give me your phone? We'll live stream it on Instagram or something. But
we might take a video and we can send it to you.
Yeah. Or listen, I mean, not for nothing, I know you created a ROKFIN channel. There you go. First piece of content. Yeah. Both of you guys can put it on a ROKFIN channel. What about? I want to put out content, but I also don't want to take anything away from the NLWC's event. So, hey, NLWC has first rights to stream it. Just keep the stream going after the event.
Yeah. No, that's funny. Yeah. We might just wrestle a match just to be prepared for multiple matches in one day. I think it'll be good. There were a couple other guys I want to wrestle. Didn't happen, but
are they not accepting? I'm hearing so much of this, and I've talked to a lot of you guys about it off the record because nobody wants to like call anybody out. And I'm not trying to be negative, but I've heard that where guys are like, it's too close to the trials. I don't really want to wrestle him, or it's not my hometown.
I don't really know exactly like what's going on. But I know that like, they might have other things going on. They might be planning other matches. I don't really think it's like a fear kind of thing. I think they just like, everybody wants to do what's best for them in their training. And if they don't want to wrestle, that's fine. But I don't think it's like a fear thing. I think it might be, I don't know.
Yeah. Everybody's got a different perspective on it, especially leading up to the trials. I know I've heard some guys say they don't want somebody to get a feel for them before, or they don't want to wrestle until them. So it's interesting to see. I mean, do you have a competition lined up? Are you going to Ukraine or Italy or anything, or Rome? I think it is, for the Matteo Pellicone.
I thought about going to Rome, but like it was a little bit too close to trials for us. And we're doing this match. And I don't think it's necessary to do all the traveling and everything like that. I'm ready to go right now. I'm feeling great, and I'll be peaking when the time's right. So
yeah, and you can tell that you seem healthy and ready to go. I like kind of analyzing social, and I can see some fun things you're doing, like the karate. I think you just recently got a belt. Was it a white belt?
Yeah, it's a white belt.
What got
Jiu-jitsu.
you into karate or jiu-jitsu?
Well, yeah, it was jiu-jitsu. Me and I think Bo's opening a gym up in State College in April, and I told him that I'd train like MMA with them, and then maybe transition to MMA in the future, but only if I want to do it. I'm not. I don't want to do it just to make money or just to do that. Like if I'm going to do it, I want to love it. And but my club coach, actually, Isaac Greeley, he was one of my club coaches growing up. He has jiu-jitsu background too, and we kind of always do it through high school. And we never really focused on techniques or anything, but like when we wrestle live, he'd choke me out and put me in arm bars, stuff like that. So I kind of got a feel for it. And then when we went to the Mat Factory, which is a club, we're just rolling around and did a couple practices just focusing on jiu-jitsu. And then they gave us a white belt after. But it's not like you have to earn a white belt or anything. They just give it to you.
And I saw Maddie was doing it too, right?
Yeah. She loves jiu-jitsu. She was trying to wrestle with, we have a couple girls in our club, Jane. And she was like, can you get Jane's number for me? I want to go to M2 and wrestle with her. And I was like,
Jane's good. Jane's really good.
She's going to be in the Olympic tournament this year. So,
right.
Maddie was just wanting to, because she was at the Mat Factory wrestling with this one girl too. And she's like, I want to see if you can take me down. And she was just like, she has pretty good offense. Like she could take the girl down, and she likes to do it. I don't know if I want her to get cauliflower ear or anything like that, but she wants to do it. I'm all for it.
That's funny. I saw too, your health and Instagram, golf. We haven't really got too many golf updates. Are you not golfing as much because of the winter?
Yeah, I can't really. Unless I make a trip down to Florida or something, I can't really golf right now. But I have my putter in the living room. I was practicing my putting stroke.
Is that one renovation? An indoor putting green?
Yeah, I should. But yeah, I like to watch golf videos too. So I was like, there was this one video that was telling you how not to putt, and that's exactly how I was putting before. So I might drop a few strokes on my game coming up.
Back in like 2012, 2013, I tried getting into golf for a year or two. One of my buddies was a really good golfer, golfed throughout high school. He's really good. So he was trying to get me into it a bit. And I remember I got a nice set of clubs and ended up buying a Scotty Cameron putter. And I just loved that thing. So I had a green in my apartment, just like one of those roll-up ones. And I sat there all day. My putting got so good with that stupid thing. But I remember everything with golf, too. Everybody's got a different opinion. One person can tell you, like, that is 100% wrong. And another person will tell you something completely contradictory and be like, this is the only way to do it.
There's a million different ways to do it. Whatever feels right and whatever works is whatever works for you. But, there are definitely, like, fundamentals that you should follow.
Where's your skill level right now in golf? Like, do you ever want to pursue like professional aspect of golf at all?
If I trained full time in golf, I think that I could make the PGA Tour. So,
do you want to try to do that?
I don't know if I want to. I think that sounds fun. But that's like long hours every day, and I'm still wrestling, so it's like I got to pick one. And, I'm like an 8 handicap right now. So I'm still a long ways away from being a scratch golfer or, like a plus handicap. But, I believe in myself. And if I do want to do that one day, I think that I can make it happen. There are people that haven't started golf until like 18, 19 years old that make the tour. So that's just like my mindset.
Yeah. I forgot who it was too yesterday. Who was it? An NFL player, 10-year player, Chris Hogan, played for the Patriots, was in the NFL for like 10 years, and he's joining the PLL, the Premier Lacrosse League, after 10 years in the NFL. He went
to Penn State.
Did he
He
really?
went to Penn State, I think. Yeah, I think.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think he played lacrosse at Penn State. I'm not sure. You have to fact check me on that.
I'm looking at it right now. 4 years of college at Penn State. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. He had 2009 first team all ECAC midfielder, scored 57 goals and 14 assists during his time in Happy Valley.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, because he got on my radar because he was in the Bills right out of college. So I knew then when I saw it yesterday, but that's wild. Another thing I want to talk to you about, because you've been on here a couple of times and we always talk a little bit about marketing, and it's fun to watch because you and I have had a lot of conversations both on the podcast and off about brand deals and not whoring yourself out, but also not selling yourself short if you can do something. And I saw not too long ago, you posted about LOL back in like right around Thanksgiving. And I love that. I'm like, this is genuine. Like you reached out to them, you kind of shared your experience. What has that been like to try to, you see the people that are out there to try to almost over leverage themselves to get deals. This seemed like it was a very natural fit. What was that like for you? And what do you think you've learned from that and taken away?
Yeah, I think that I do believe that sleep is really important. And, a couple years ago, I reached out to Law because I saw that Bryce Meredith did. And I was like, hey, how'd you get that bed? And he's like, I just messaged them on Instagram and see if they're interested. So I did the same thing and they were great. I mean, they sent me out it's like $1,000 mattress for free. And, for an Instagram post and one on my story. And to me, that's worth it because it's something that I do believe in. There are, one company specifically that reached out to me and was wanted to pay me to, post about their product on Instagram. A couple of people have reached out. But I was I kind of didn't do it because I didn't really agree with what they were trying to sell. And it's not something that I would take myself. So I don't feel like it's genuine to put that out there if you're not doing yourself.
Yeah. And it's important to be involved with something that does mean a lot to you. Sleep is important to you. And that's where the value is. Everybody, when it comes to brand deals, it's one thing to do something to pay your bills. But when you're talking about a true brand deal, I think both the brand should have somebody that's truly passionate. And as an athlete, you work very hard to have a reputation and to have a brand that you've worked diligently to create. You want to protect that. What advice would you have for younger athletes who are coming up now and they don't want to get distracted by social, but here you can see you were able to save $1,000 by doing something that wasn't out of the ordinary. It was making a post and it was an organic post. It wasn't you're not selling some energy drink that is going to give you diarrhea. It's a good product. Yeah. What advice would you have for younger kids who are coming up and there may be you're seeing guys like Roman's got over 100,000 followers still in college. And I think you're going to start seeing that where these college guys, now that they're all going to get tagged, they're going to have big accounts. They're going to come out of college with even more opportunities than you had. What advice would you give to them as they start kind of discerning what brand deals they maybe should or shouldn't work with, or how you approach it maybe?
Yeah. That's a tricky, situation with social media and competing and stuff, because you don't want to be doing things for social media. Yep. You want to, when I was just a story here from my freshman year, I was thinking throughout the whole year, after I beat Martinez in January, and then I was kind of I lost him with Big Tens. And then I was kind of thinking, oh man, when I win nationals, I'm going to make this post and it's going to get me so many followers or something like that. Yeah. And then I was not that I was thinking about that all the time, but it was a slight distraction and I lost by 1 point. So, if I wasn't focused on that, maybe I would have won, but maybe not at the same time. So it's a hard balance because you have to stay focused on why you're doing what you're doing. If it's to gain followers and to, grow your brand, then that's one thing. But if you really want to, if you're wrestling because you want to be the best and you want to win, then the money will come. Then if you win, if you're an Olympic champ, then there are opportunities to your brand's going to grow throughout that process. And there are organic things that you can do, and which is what I try to do. I make posts every once in a while that because I want to keep up with my followers and everything like that. And I think that's important, but I also don't want to overdo it where that's all I'm thinking about. So there's one side where some people, I won't name names, but some people don't think that you should do it at all. Yeah. They don't think you should have a social media account. And then there's another side where, that's all you should do. You should focus on I'm kind of closer to the less social media side, but I'm all, at the same time, I have to be conscious of this because it is a financial opportunity as well to provide for my family and everything, to be able to grow your brand like that.
Yeah. And, as Christians, I think it's a great thing for us that I know every single morning I'm praying for wisdom. I'm praying for discernment because there's so many decisions that have to get made. And you can talk to people who are in different spectrums of how they maybe competed or what their experience was like. I mean, if you talk about a guy like Kale, I've had endless conversations with him. He doesn't really like social, but he's also a coach who wants his athletes to win. He wants to keep them focused. And when he came up, there was no social, right. And then you can look at the 2012 Olympics, and Jake Varner and Jordan Burroughs both won Olympic golds. They both did very different things with their brands. And I think it also has a lot to do with what you want to get out of it. You don't want to sell yourself short, but you also don't want to over leverage your brand and then sacrifice winning. I think if you've trained this hard, this long, like Chenzo even said, listen, I'm going to scale back a little bit on Coffee Talk, at least until after the trials. I really want to focus. I'm like, go for it. This podcast will be here. This opportunity is not going anywhere. I love having you on all the time. You need to focus. And it's a balance that I think everybody needs to look inwardly, because I think it's also going to affect everybody differently. And I think depending on who you are, depending on what you like, I think there's some people that can balance being super active on social and not get distracted. There's also some people that they get distracted very easily. You have to know yourself. Yeah. And again, I think as Christians, we kind of have it easy because we can pray, get some wisdom, get discernment, and you kind of have that check in your heart. You have that conviction of, hey, I need to keep the main thing, or hey, I can do this in my downtime. That for me, I know, and I'm not an athlete and I'm not that important, but with everything we have going on, even with the house, I don't want to show too much. There's a lot of people who have been in my corner, who have been in my wife's corner. We want to share this with them. So it's a constant balance, I know, for us of just praying what to share, what not to share. Because I look at some of these things in this house that I'll share a little bit of just a little bit, and I'll get 20, 30 DMs of show me more. I want to see more. That's what we're here for. I'm like, well, this isn't a house Instagram, but yeah.
I like looking at your Instagram pictures too. I'm like, I'm one of those guys. I'm like, I want to see all of it.
I know. And that's why I debate, I keep praying about it. Do I make an Instagram for the property, and maybe I make it private at first so I can control who sees it? So I don't know. Another brand partner we're both involved in that I want to talk about for a few minutes is Traeger. I love Traeger. I know you love Traeger. I reverse seared a tomahawk 2 nights ago for our first meal in the new kitchen. These things are just stupid. It's 3 degrees outside, and that thing just stays so steady.
Yeah.
They don't get better. And I saw our guy Kendall. I love Kendall. Big fan of him. I saw he sent you a bunch of meat. I texted him right after. I sent your story to him, and I said, "Hey, you got my new address, right? Just so you know, this is it." What's your talking grilling just for a few minutes? What's your favorite thing to cook on that thing?
I really like to make wings on the Traeger, but I was making a steak the other night, and there's a couple of ribeyes, and I cooked them till about 115 on the Traeger, And then I put a cast iron on the stove top there and put some butter in there. And I seared it for about 1.5 minutes each side. But when I flipped it, I had butter in there. When I flipped it, I slapped it down too hard and all the grease shot out at my face. And I got one. I think I got one in my left eye. I got like a bunch of spots all over my neck. I don't know if they're there anymore, but they were there for a couple of days. And, my favorite Lululemon shirt has a bunch of holes in it.
That's not good.
So I was like, what the heck? I thought it was a stain. So I was like trying to rub out the stain. And I realized that it was just like ripped fabric. So you got to be careful when you're searing.
Yeah, searing. I do the same thing. Like when I reverse sear, people also don't know what a reverse sear is. I get a lot of comments. All it is you smoke beef first. So like a tomahawk steak, I'll smoke till it hits 115, 120, take it off. I'll crank the Traeger up to 500 with the skillet on. And then once it gets to 500, and as the steak is just sitting on the side, I put a little garlic compound butter on it, some tinfoil over it, and then I sear it. The hard part for me about that, though, is like those tomahawk steak, the bone comes out. So I'm trying to hold down the beef so it doesn't. But those things are so good. What are your go-to rubs? And the Bo wedding one doesn't count because that's an exclusive nobody can get. I've told him
Seasoned Spice Company.
Bo keeps teasing out that he's coming out with these spices, and then we're left hanging.
Yeah. Well, I have like 4 from his wedding. So I grabbed one for me, one for Maddie, one for my roommate. I was pretty excited about that. I use a variety of the Traeger rubs. I usually, like, if I'm making a steak, I'll use the prime rib rub. Yeah. But I like what's the one, the feather, the fin and feather. I like that on chicken. And
have you ever used Meat Church?
No, I never used Meat Church.
So there's a company in Texas called Meat Church, and they have honey hog, which I love on pulled pork and baby backs. And then they have holy cow and holy gospel, which are their beef rubs. They are so dang good. So stupid good. They've got a 5-pack that has like those 3 and 2 others. Just absolutely ridiculously good. The wings are great. People don't understand too, the wings in the Traeger. I cook them for like an hour at like 375. Gets a nice crisp, and the recipe was given to me, so I can't give it out because it's a top secret recipe. But wings on that thing are just out of this world. So if you like,
I got a funny story for you I've been thinking of.
Let's hear it.
It was a couple of days ago. It was Monday after practice, because on Monday we did a couple lab goes, and it was good. I thought it was a really good workout and everything. And after practice, this guy comes up to me. Guy in NLWC, his name is Rogers, but he's like, hey, was practice weird? Like, practice seemed really weird today. I was like, no, I thought it was like normal. And he's like, yeah, like how they were wanting us to go real easy at the beginning and then kind of finish going hard, like on the last lab goes, but like on the first couple lab goes, it was easy. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, that makes no sense. And he's like, isn't that what Coach Cody said? And I was like, no. And he goes, oh, that's what Jaime told me. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's like typical Jaime. He's like, I don't know if something was lost in like translation, but I was like, yeah, Jaime was trying to go easy at first. And then, I thought that was hilarious.
I'm just picturing that conversation happen in real time, and I'm like, oh man. That's freaking great.
I was like so confused because I was like,
what are you talking about?
Like typically like my mind, I was like after practice, so I was tired and my mind was almost like, it was weird. But I was like, wait, what was weird about it? I was like, and I was just like, I'm not letting this go.
No, I'm glad you solved that for him. Speaking of the Penn State room, Penn State is they look so dang good. I tweeted out the other day that I think Carter and Aaron are arguably my new 1-2 punch. Like my favorite 1-2 punch in college wrestling.
Yeah.
Like And they said during the broadcast of the dual meet the other night on Sunday versus Michigan that like all these 1-2 tag teams you guys have over the years, and then it's like it's depressing. Like when you and Bo and Chenzo and Hall, when you guys graduate, it's like it's never going to be the same. Like we just lost because for 4 or 5 years you're building up, and then it's like you almost have to start looking at the freshmen. You kind of build that back up. And these guys are like picking right up where you guys left off. And it's like, you can't replace a guy like you or Bo or Chenzo or any of you. But it's depressing as a fan when one of you guys graduates or a bunch of you guys do. And then it's so refreshing when all of a sudden like Carter comes out, upsets Massa. You have these events. Does that help you? Like, I love, the scripture of iron sharpening iron. Does that help you having these guys in the room?
Yeah, I mean, I think in 2017 we had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 punch.
You did.
We had 5 national champs back to back.
Right.
With Zane, me, Chenzo, Mark, and Bo. And I mean, there's other guys in the lineup throughout the years that have been a part of that. But yeah, I mean, after Carter lost to, I think it was DJ Washington, I was getting all these texts like, because I always hype Carter up. I'm like, I always hype Carter and Aaron up. I'm like, man, these guys are the real deal. And like I love to train with them because they go hard. I think Carter actually needs to take it a step down because he like wrestles me live while we're in practice. And
that would be another good match to have after the stream, live on Instagram.
yeah, I'd wrestle him, but I don't think we're gonna wrestle our own guys too much. But yeah, I was like hyping Carter up to all these people, and then I'm getting texts after he lost, like, what the heck's going on? I'm like, you guys, don't worry, he'll be back. I said Mark Hall lost a couple matches. He lost one match before he pulled his red shirt, and then he lost it at Iowa, and then they ended up winning nationals. And I think Carter's very similar. I think Carter wrestled really hard, and with his mindset and the way that he wrestles, he's hard to be stopped. So not a lot of people can keep up that pace. And like you said, Aaron, I mean, they're probably the best 1-2 punch in college wrestling right now. I don't really see anybody beating them.
Yeah, and like following them on Instagram, even you really get a good kind of insight. They're giving God the glory. They're very humble. You're seeing that they're not just talented wrestlers; they're good men. And when Cal came on this podcast a couple months ago, before one of the events, I was talking about like who excites you the most, and he said it's got to be Carter. And ever since then, like you're kind of hyping him up. Ever since then, I'm one of those people who are buying into it. So I'm watching, like waiting, and I'm like, man. And it's always hard when someone's young, freshman, or redshirt freshman, anything like that, because there are so many, like, you can have that anomaly match that doesn't really reflect something. And when he beat Logan this weekend, I'm like, this is who he is. This is what the hype's about. This is, I mean, I think Logan was ranked like number 2 in the country.
Who's ranked number 1? Kemmer?
I think so. Yeah.
Kemmer? Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, we missed that match because that duel got canceled or postponed. I don't know if they're wrestling Iowa now, but yeah, I mean, all the young guys coming up, it's going to be a really, really special team. And I think that it's really exciting to watch. But like you said, like you asked me earlier, is it good to have these guys in the room? And I think that having these guys in the room has made me a lot better over the last year, because I was kind of getting into, we have like a system in practice, like where like we all play wrestle and it's not really like live. Like I had to like when me and Zane first started working out when we were like freshmen and sophomores, it was basically live the whole time. And I'd be like, hey dude, stop going live. And then I feel like I've conditioned him enough where he's a lot better now, but and then Carter and Aaron, those guys come in now, they're trying to wrestle me live. So it's good to have that competitive like spirit in there. And just, I mean, Carter, he really makes you like get to your attacks because he's always down blocking and it's hard to get to his legs. So if I get to his legs, I know I'm doing good.
It was interesting when I had Gilman on here because Gilman's obviously in the height of his quest for an Olympic gold. He's done with college at Iowa. He's laser focused, and yet still it was refreshing to see how blessed he is in training a guy like Roman, not training him directly, but kind of being that mentor. Have you found yourself kind of filling that position as well with these younger guys? Like, I'm sure you're a 3-time NCAA champ. They're looking up to you. Do you find yourself kind of playing that big brother role with these guys?
Well, I just want to lead by example. So every time I'm in practice, I'm working hard. I'm trying to,
even if Cody says go easy today.
Yeah. And these guys there's so many good guys in the Penn State room that are helping these guys and like reaching out to them. And, I might say something little to them, but I'm not trying to be their coach right now. I don't want them to think that that I think I'm better than them or anything like that. So I kind of just let them do their thing. But if I have a piece of advice, I'm not going to withhold that from them. But yeah, I think just like leading by example and like doing the right things on and off the mat. People look up to that, and you never know who's watching you. So always try to be your best self.
Do they ask you for advice?
Not a whole lot, just because most people ask the coaches, because we have Varner and Cody and Coach Casey and Coach Kale. But if they do, I'm always there for them if they need anything. So.
Yeah, they're great guys. It's fun to be a Penn State fan. I think, like I said, every time there's kind of that turnover of greatness retires, it just seems like there's this new class of guys that fill that excitement void. They're really good. So it's fun to watch. Excited for next week. For those listening, and maybe you're just finding this out, Jason Nolf, as we talked about in the beginning here, is wrestling Kyle Dake next Tuesday on ROKFIN. Go to rokfin.com/NLWC. You can subscribe to the NLWC channel. Bonus for you, if you subscribe to the NLWC channel, you then get access to BASCHAMANIA video content. So it's a bonus. Subscribe to the NLWC channel, and then you get BASCHAMANIA video access for the podcast, everything else. Jason, last thing I want to give you a place to talk about before we leave here. Your family had a tragic accident last week, and you started a GoFundMe. I shared the heck out of it. So I want to thank people, because I know there's a lot of people listening that donated. $50,000 was the goal, and that got smashed. I think it's at like 52,000 now. So I know for the people that I shared it with that saw it and contributed, shared it, prayed about it, thank you. And Jason, I just want to give you the floor to probably do the same.
Yeah. I put out an Instagram post about this, but, I can probably go a little bit more in depth on here, but, it was pretty cool to see all the people that donated and all the people that kind of had our backs in that, because, it's just like, I can't imagine, what my sister's going through. It's extremely difficult, but I know that God, I read, I can't remember. I think it's Matthew 5:4 or something like that, but it was as blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. And I think that and then there was a Psalm or a proverb that basically said that God is, hears the brokenhearted cries and lifts them up. It was something along those lines, but, I think that those are completely true. We're broken, our hearts are broken, and it's extremely tough, but, God's going to lift us up, and he's going to hear our cries. And I think that's first of all important to mention. And then, there were people donated like Tyler Berger donated $100. Mike Novigrath donated $2,000. Somebody donated $3,000. They wanted to keep private, so I won't mention their name, but it's just pretty cool. Jordan Burroughs shared the post. And even though these are guys that I'm preparing to wrestle Burroughs in the trials, and it's competitive, and you don't always I don't like always speaking to my competition or anything like that. But, when things get tough, it's cool that they had our backs, and I think that just shows how special the sport is. And, you know, tons of family and friends and other coaches from different teams have donated and shared.
I saw there was an Iowa wrestling fans. Somebody donated that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I tried to go through and thank a bunch of people from there, but if I didn't get to everybody, I mean, there were like 800 people. So I guess this is my opportunity to thank you guys, everybody who donated or shared or read it or prayed for us. Really appreciate everything that everybody supported us in that way. So,
yeah, the wrestling community, it's a wild, wild west community sometimes. But, I happened to see some of the donations. I saw, like you said, Tyler and Mike, and I saw Jordan share it. I saw Helen Maroulis in there. Like, to see these people, to see the community come together, it's pretty special. So definitely grateful. I think that's most of what I got. You got anything else?
No, I don't got anything else, but I'm just excited. I guess the last thing I want to say is, like, when things like this happen in your life, I think it's important to reflect and look back and just like be grateful for everything that you have. Yeah. Count your blessings. And, it's easy to be fearless when I'm competing. It's a lot easier to be fearless when you're competing when you're grateful and, don't take it too seriously. So
I just told my wife that today that, we're with moving, there's so many different components and it's so easy to always fear the worst. And I saw an Instagram video. I forgot his name. It's a guy in Detroit and he was showing it was like a karate thing. And he was basically showing the kid, he was coming at him with something. He was saying, like, don't look at this. Look at me. I'm the problem. This is just the distraction. You can't focus on the what if. You can't focus on the fear. And it is just so, like, I feel like so many times, so many people are fearing the what ifs. They're fearing the negative. What if I lose? What if I this? What if I have that? And I think you've been pretty consistent over the years on this podcast, on public social media posts and interviews. Like, when you wrestle with freedom and just giving it to God and not overthinking it, you've said that's when you wrestle your best. And whether it's wrestling your best for us, I'm running a company and moving and doing everything else. Like, it just frees you up when you focus on the good and the gratitude. And of course, anytime something big in life happens, those tend to be the reflection points of, like, the last couple of years. I actually met Gary V a couple of years ago, and I remember asking him, like, you have this perspective that if everybody around you is healthy, nothing else matters. I'm like, how did you get that way? And he's like, how many times have you thought about that in the last year? I said, a good chunk of times. He's like, how about the year before? I said, not so much. He's like, it's practice. It's just practicing gratitude. Now I do it all the time. I remind myself, okay, is my wife healthy? Am I healthy? Yes. Okay. Do we have our freedom? Yes. Okay. Then nothing else is really that important, because we make things so much bigger. I saw today Rush Limbaugh died, and I'm like, man, I grew up like hearing that voice. That was like, I grew up with that name, and his life's gone just like that after cancer. And it kind of, like you said, it's important to reflect, especially on gratitude. You'll get lost in things that just don't matter. It's wild.
Yeah, I think that, like, every day, every situation that you're in, you can choose to be happy, or you can choose to, like, see the darkness in it. You can choose to see the light, or you can choose to see the darkness. And I think that people become depressed or stuff like that because people are in bad moods all the time because they're walking around choosing to see everything that's, like, negative about their situation. And when you choose to see the positive and be happy, because happiness isn't circumstantial. Happiness is a decision that you make. Because if you choose to, if you think that it's circumstantial, then there's a lot of times you're not going to be too super happy. So I think that's
and it's fleeting.
To think about.
It's really fleeting. If you're trying to be happy based on circumstances, you're going to get caught up in a dangerous game of trying to capture that next high and never being satisfied or happy unless you're on that mountaintop. You've got to kind of, like right now, we just moved into our dream home. Like that's a high of happiness. If we try to only be happy when we have that, we're going to be miserable. You know, you got to find happiness even in the dark times. Even, you know, it's cliche to embrace the process and embrace the journey, but it's the truth. And I feel old saying this, but the older I get, the more I realize how true that is. Because like after 6 months of construction, we finally moved in. And if it wasn't for every single day during the construction, this wouldn't be as sweet as it is. And embracing like the basement's in, the walls are up, like all those little things. There's digging the pond, like embracing the process and reflecting through the journey is so important. So important. All right, Jason, I'm rooting for you next Tuesday. Please let's have a side talk about any additional extra matches, they call it in 2021. That's the official name, extra matches. So any extra matches, let's talk about, and we'll talk soon, man. Thank you for making time today.
Yep, sounds good.
And that is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. If you did enjoy this episode of the podcast, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more episodes. For more wrestling content, be sure to follow BASCHAMANIA on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and follow me. I'm at JBash on Instagram and at JustinJBash on Twitter.
And the beat goes on.